see if it'll actually... So here we are at some more dreams. It's been a while since I've actually managed to stream anything. I've been doing some studying, trying to prepare for things like that. Yeah, didn't pass it, but you either pass it or you don't. It's pretty binary, so yeah, I'm gonna keep doing that. Anyway, so back from that, doing a little exploration in dreams once again, because I like dreams. If you're, there's like 2 people in my life that have ever watched this stream, but if you are one of those 2 people, hi, thank you. Oh, that's interesting. Oh no, and it's connected to Wi-Fi, so I'm not gonna cast gameplay. That's sad. Whee. Maybe it'll fix itself. Okay. So the internet is apparently being kind of poopy right now. But yeah, if you're one of the 2 people that's ever watched this stream, hey, tune in. This is kind of me messing around with dreams and talking. I'm not an expert or anything like that, but I do, at least not in dreams, but I do deal with like education and programming and technology and teaching and things like that. So it tends to be what I do is talk about those things and noodle around in some games. So today we're going to be doing dreams, and I'm going to be noodling around in dreams while, you know, reminiscing and randomly talking about education and technology and all that stuff. So what I've been thinking of doing is eventually doing a set of tutorials, or not tutorials, I'm sorry, lesson plans around, like, you know, incorporating dreams into some sort of curriculum, since a lot of people are online and doing homeschool and things like that. So yeah, and let's see, where am I right now? Okay, so what we are doing today, I'm actually going to jump back into edit mode. So I'm still in the very early stages, and I've played around with a couple of different tutorials. That's interesting. Let's go ahead and start that. So yeah, one of the tutorials had showed me obvious, maybe it's not obvious. This is one of the early levels that you mess with My Ancient Temple, and then you build your own, remix it, and share it with the community. And so that's what I've been working on. But I was trying to do something, you know, like just to, I guess more than just add a rock, I wanted to, you know, try a couple of things. So I played around with a couple of logic tutorials, and I've got a background in programming. And I should say that with scare quotes, because I like to think of myself as the worst programmer. But I continue to do it because I enjoy it and I enjoy getting better at it. Yeah, it is what it is, but, you know, I am definitely a programmer. I'm not a perfect, what is it, the 10x engineer who, like, you know, constantly is programming and never takes breaks and, you know, is solving hard problems. That's not me, but I do like it. So anyway, I had started to mess around with some logic and just very, very simple stuff. And trying to kind of understand how dreams does things and how I need to do things in dreams. So anyway, yeah, what I had done is I wanted to kind of wall off this section and make it so that there was kind of a gateway here that moved when you stepped on a button. And so I found a button, kind of embedded it here, nothing fancy. Took a couple of pillars and stuck them in here. And then I had been off and on trying to figure out a way to have the pillars fall through the ground. I couldn't get it. And I thought maybe I was using one of the gadgets wrong. And really what it was is just that this is a solid surface, this ground down here. And I was not able to get the pillars to kind of just fall through the ground. So I thought maybe I could sculpt the ground and open up a hole, but I can't do that because this particular large piece down here is it's a saved piece that cannot be edited. So okay, that path did not work. And yeah, so there's a couple of videos up on my YouTube channel of me getting frustrated. I don't know if I'm frustrated, but I wasn't able to work, and I was okay with that. And I hope by sharing it, I can kind of normalize this idea of, like, this is really, and I'm going to do some manipulation here, this is really what programming is about. Is yes, you should, hopefully you have some idea of kind of like where you want to head and how you want to do a thing. But if you knew exactly how everything would work out, you would probably be some sort of superhuman. Like most of us don't have that, don't have that ability. We have, you only know what you know, right? And you don't know what you don't know. Because if you did, then you'd know it, right? Or you would just use that information and go, oh, well, I can't do that. I will do this other thing because I know this. I know it sounds like a truism, like you don't know what you don't know. It's kind of a tautology, I guess, but sometimes I think it needs reinforcing. We kind of need to remember that. I think programming also often gets this mystique of like people that just jump into a room, or game designers jump into a room, they just start throwing things together, everything works perfectly, and boom, they got a working game. And it's not at all how it works. Maybe for like one or two individuals out there, they're just absolutely rock stars, and more power to them. Like some people are really, really good at a thing. But I think even for those people, like there is a certain amount of trial and error and experimentation where you're learning how a system works, right? You're learning how these pieces play together. And, what looks like, oh my gosh, these people are flawless gods is sometimes, like, oh, these are just people who have done a thing for a while and are knowledgeable about a thing, and that's good. But don't make sure you don't mistake that for like everybody has to start at some point of not knowing a thing, right? And then you just kind of move on from there. All right. So enough of my philosophizing, at least for a little bit. I'm going to keep building this thing. And so really all I'm doing is just kind of manipulating some of the basic pieces they've got here. I'm just walling off this section. And the thing that I'm really hoping to do with this, at least in this, what I'm doing right now, this beginning, is to kind of just wall off. You don't have a way to pass without making these things go away. And so what I've done is I've actually stuck a little gadget on here, and it's a very simple movement gadget. And I have the button, I have a wire coming from the button. For those of you that, if anybody stumbles upon this and has never done dreams before, well, you probably won't be watching this, but what I did is I simply went into the button here. And I don't want to move it, though it didn't really move all that much. And I just made a wire. I'm going to deselect that other thing and see if I can select this guy right here. Still, after all this time, it hadn't been that long, but I still am not good at manipulating this controls game. Takes some getting used to. And I forget that, like, it's tied to motion sensing too. Alright, I want to just take a look at this gadget right here. Ancient Temple button. If I remember, I just have a wire going from... Maybe I started the wire on this end? Let's take a look here. There's my wire. And I've wired the power to the movement thing. Just take a if you click, or in this case I'm going to cancel it, but it's selected. If I press my X button and I just kind of move my imp, then I get a wire coming from these, let's call them ports on the side of the gadget that I can connect to other devices. So what I did is I took a wire from this device, the power, and I wired it to that button. So this gadget doesn't move, it's the button. And so let's, and so this of course was trial and error, trying to figure out, or the biggest piece of trial say was like, I initially wanted these things, like I said, to fall through the ground. I wasn't able to do that, so I kept trying to find ways of making this a thing that the player had to get past. So I ended up settling on having them move back. I could, it's possible I could have them just move down, but I ended up having them move back, and I was like, well, maybe I'm satisfied with that. I'm just gonna hop into play mode really quickly here. I'm gonna possess my imp, and we're gonna just move on over here, and yeah, impassable. I was gonna say unpassable, which I don't think is a word. All right, so. Ooh, oh no, there's some holes. Alright, so we can die, which is fine. That is totally fine. But there's no immediate way I see to pass. So that's good. So the player has to do something else. And as you probably know, as I have said, my goal is to get the player to head over this way, to jump on the button, and move the thing back. Now, what I haven't figured out, or what I didn't build yet, is a way really conveniently to get back up here. So, that sort of works. And now we see that we have a way to pass. And then we can... earlier, I had done this. I'd create a little path up here for the player to kind of hop and hop and hop, and voila. And they hop up here. And triggered a doorway. Yay! Okay. Let's see, where am I at? Am I still in edit mode? I think I don't want to release as playable yet. What I'd really like to do is, it looks like I'm back in edit mode, so I'm going to rewind by clicking in my left stick. I believe they call it L3. And yeah, so that's what I have so far. And I haven't decided what else I really want to do to it. I know I want to make some things clearer. I.e., when this thing moves back, I would like it to be apparent to the player, hey, look, this thing is happening. And these are just some of the small things that I try and think about. And again, like, I'm an indie game designer. I do a little Unity, but I am, just barely getting started. So I'm not an expert, but these are just some of the things I've learned in school and just, by looking at really good people building games and just watching how they do things and watching how, stuff is made clear to the player, and, the importance of these things. And the reminder that, these things don't appear in a vacuum, right? Like, somebody has to be making these things happen. So one of the things that I like to do is try and make it apparent to my player where it is they're supposed to go. And I feel like so far this path going from here forward seems pretty obvious. What may be less obvious, I think is definitely less obvious, is the path to this button. And then when you stand on the button, I think it may be a little less obvious that this thing has moved back. I mean, eventually you'll step on the button, then you'll go to see what's happened, and you can see that a thing is happening. What would be cool is this to trigger. I'd like maybe the camera to swing around, kind of like in mini games where after something has changed, a camera view takes over and says, "Hey, look, this thing has changed." So I'm going to start playing with some stuff that I've never played with before. I'm going to try to see if I can add a new camera. But first, I'm going to get a little bit of water. I'll be right back. So we're back. Feel a lot better. Got some cold water. I'm going to recenter my imp here. Ugh. And we're going to go back at it. So I'm going to jump up here. And this isn't something I've played with before, so I'm just kind of into it, where these things might be. Cameras and lighting. And by into it, I mean I saw a section called cameras earlier when I was just, kind of browsing through the little icons, and it's like, ooh, I wonder if this may be useful. And I'm going to stop just for a second, and in case somebody... oh, I've totally lost my train of thought. What I was going to do is just... Every time I play this game, I just kind of consistently marvel at how well designed it feels. And I know that's a lot of iteration and a lot of work and experimentation, and the feedback loop went into making it this beautiful looking game. But man, I just want to appreciate like how much work has been put into like just how everything is just these pleasing colors, and I don't know. I think I like this game too much. Anyway, so let's take a look here. We got camera pointer, camera shaker, light, fog, sun and sky, grade and effects, wiper, ruler, and then our next section. I think what I would like, let's contract that menu for a second. What is gameplay gear? Oh, scores and stuff. Okay, cool. I'm going to contract that. So I'm going to jump back to camera. I'm going to see if I can add... Oops. I'm going to cancel that. Go back. I like to mouse over, or imp over it. If you like making anything with any kind of narrative or something interactive, you're going to need some cameras. Maybe you want a low angle to denote a character's power, or a pan to survey the environment. Maybe you just want a view of your masterwork that isn't the default. Maybe you want to change the view. Okay. Pop down for a maze. If you want move, choose the animation tools. And jump to it and fly around. Cool. Stamp a camera and a controller sensor. Set the latter to remote controllable. Interesting. Output. Controller center. Okay, cool. So some of that I want. I don't really, I don't want an animated camera per se, but I would like to add a camera. See, can I just add one in the sky? A little gadget. What if I just stamped one there? Okay, and it looks like we got a camera. And my guess, if we're going to go with how cameras work in the real world, is that this little, the hole in the front is what the camera is going to be filming. I know, rocket science. So I'm just going to do R2, yep, and we're just going to move this guy here. Alright, there we go. Rotate it a bit. Yay for gyroscopic controls. And we're going to try putting it back here. Do a little rotation here. There we go. Okay. So now we got a new camera. Okay. Now, what would I like for this camera? I'm going to go into my settings here. And what do I really want to happen? See, this is one of the things that I think is important to do when programming is figuring out what you want and then trying to make it happen. And I'm still not great at this. So you feel free to laugh if I say the thing and then you're like, wow, he's really not good at that. Yeah, it's okay. Like I'm learning. I'm definitely still, I'm definitely, like I said, not a great programmer. But I enjoy it, and I enjoy how it modifies, it helps modify my thinking and hopefully makes me a more structured and logical thinker, even if I'm not good at it. Um, but I think one of the things when people first kind of start programming or doing logic is, um, and when I teach this, I used to do summer camp, technology summer camp, and um, the way I would teach this is I would start off with computers are stupid, and the kids always thought it was funny. Because it's like, wow, but computers do all this stuff. Yes, but they don't. I mean, they have no like brain, right? Besides, they have a CPU, but there's not like there are certain things you can take for default with people, right? Like without much programming, people, there's some default programming, I should say, inside of us where, humans will breathe, we will kind of intuit how to move and walk and and things like that. Language is a bit more tricky, but like some of the basic stuff, movement, blinking your eyes, this stuff is all hard coded. Computers, there's a lot of things that you kind of think, well, of course it should do this, and it doesn't, right? Like, and that being able to break down what it is that I want and trying to find a way to tell a computer step by step, do this thing. That is important. And that's what an algorithm is. It's just a fancy word for like a step-by-step process that shows us how to do a thing. And we do algorithms all the time. Tying your shoe, right? Oh, you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. Or your mom gives you an algorithm, or your grown up, I should say, gives you an algorithm. Okay, here's what I need you to do. You're gonna go downstairs. You're gonna pick up the thing. You're gonna bring it back and you put it on the whatchamacallit, right? What am I supposed to do? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. That's me as a child. Um, but yeah, we do algorithms all the time. So my algorithm, or the step-by-step process that I want, is what I'm trying to figure out right now. And I think what I want is once you step on this button, and this thing starts to move, I would like the camera to show a view of this moving. Now, the only thing is, I don't want it to do that forever. And I would like it not to happen. I would like your character to be frozen while that happens, because what I don't want is someone moving, and where when you move, the camera normally follows you around. I don't want someone accidentally walking off the side. So let's set up, let's do first things first. When this button is pressed, this camera view should take over. So what I think I want to do is see if I can wire something from the camera to the button so that when the button is pressed, the camera activates. I'm going to go back to my, oops, that's my edit camera. Okay, so that's my, let's see, focus in so I can, ooh, wow, that's really cool. Okay. That's not exactly what I want. Show hide. I actually want to exit out my camera editor. And I think I just want to move my camera closer. So literally just going to move it closer here. Okay. And I'm going to go into my camera. This is what my camera is going to see, it looks like. Alright, so that's pretty good. And then select my camera, and we're going to go to my menu, and let's see. Here's my power port, and I've got some fancy transitions, and then imp and player settings. What's this? Max imp distance. I don't know if I need to mess with any of that yet. We'll go back to camera settings. And I think what I want to do is I want to wire, and I don't have to hold that down. That is fantastic. I want to wire this, not to the camera itself, to, what's this? Oops. Powered on. Input wire, nope, not my own aperture. button down. Okay. So let's just try it like that for a second. And let's just see if we can get it to do the thing that I want. Okay. And I know this isn't going to be perfect, but at least let's just see if that is close to what I'm looking for. So I'm going to close my panel here, and I'm going to go into my play mode. I'm going to see if I can control of my character. Alright, there's my character, and my camera is invisible, as it should be. That's good. And I'm going to pretend like I'm just going to go over here to my button. I'm going to jump on it. There we go. Okay. Cool. Alright, so let's save it. Now, one of the things that I'm a big fan of in programming is celebrating these little victories. I think that's important, especially if you're just getting into programming or building things. Like, it often, I know as, and I still have this very much so as a human, I want to share the big things, right? Like, oh my gosh, I made the, or I feel like that's what people want to see, right? Like, I feel like it's underwhelming sometimes to people when you're like, oh, I made this little tiny thing, blink, right? But you know, as the creator, how much work went into doing that, right? Even if it's just, like, it may be something, you clicked and did, or maybe you had to do a whole lot to it, but, like, there's some satisfaction in making that thing happen. And I'm a big fan of celebrating that, right? And even, sharing it with, like, sharing it with people who will appreciate it. So, your good friends, your grown-ups, your peers, your whatever, sharing it with, sharing those little victories, like, cool, I made this thing happen. And even if there's, like, but even, I guess, maybe more importantly, is sharing it with yourself, right? Like, being proud of, like, you're building a thing. You're making a thing happen. Like, that's, playing games is awesome. I love playing games. But I also really love building things. And I don't get to do it enough. And I like to celebrate when I've built a thing. I've made a thing happen. I've put something into the world. And I think that's awesome. So, yay! I made a little thing happen. And it worked kind of the way I want. So I'm going to try that one more time. I hit the rewind. I'm going to take a look at it one more time here. We're going to possess my character. Whoa. Alright, we're going to jump on this. Camera gets activated. Alright, now, you notice one little problem we have here. My character can still move. And if I move off the thing, I like that there's a transition, a nice smooth transition that's already built in. So, yay for things that are already built in. I know I was saying that computers are dumb, and sometimes there's you don't want to assume defaults, but it's nice to see that sometimes there are. That cool little transition is there. So right now you'll notice that this button allows you. It goes on for eternity. And that thing will move back for eternity. And that's not a huge problem, but that's not really what I want. But we're making some small progress. Alright, so I'm going to go back and put my character back. I'm going to rewind us to the... Oops, actually. I just want to be in play mode. Should have jumped back. I'm going to go back to edit mode here. What we really want is this only needs to move back so far, and then it needs to stop, or it doesn't need to, but it would be nice if it stops. And then once it stops, it would be nice to switch our view back to our player camera. That would be nice. Now, one of the another thing about programming is there's often this fear of, like, well, what's the right way to do something? And there's not always a right way. Usually, there are multiple ways for doing things. Some ways turn out to be better than others for certain things, and that is important. And as you do it more and more, you will learn about, like, many things are trade-offs, right? So way A, or let's say way X, may be really good for this thing, but not so great for this thing. And way Y may be the inverse, right? So it all depends on the thing that you're going for. A lot of programming and data structures is like that. Like, this data structure is really good if you're dealing with X, but you're not dealing with Y, right? Or Y isn't really a problem, so this data structure is fine. But if you have these conditions, this data structure is better. Both of them will work. But sometimes, depending on the condition, one is better than the other. And the reason I say that right now is I am thinking about how am I going to make these things stop moving. And there's probably multiple ways to do it. And as I, like I'm saying, I'm new to this, so I'm try and intuitively figure out a way. And it may be a way that works, it may be a great way, it may not be the best way, and that's all part of learning. So anyway, let's get to it. What do I want to do? Well, it would be nice to know when I get to a certain distance, and I know from one of my tutorials that there is, what is there? Oops, I keep closing my menu, and I don't want to close the menu. There is a sensor. So I'm going to look for my sensor here, and I'm going to drag this. What do we got here? Trigger zone, tag, wireless transmitter, receiver, controller sensor. Sensor, that's kind of cool. Movement, I don't really want to track the movement. Impact, signal, generator, look cursor, switch, and value slider. I, again, just love how, how many options you have in this thing. Like, it really is an unlimited tool for creativity. I was a big fan of Disney Infinity, and you could do so much with Disney Infinity. But this is like Disney Infinity on steroids, right? There's so much that you can do, and you're really only limited by like how well you know the tools and your imagination and your time and talent and all that. And that I appreciate that so much, that on this console, right, this PS4 that's really just built for quote unquote playing games, that I can create and yeah. So anyway, like I said, I do a lot of talking and not as much building. I do a lot of like philosophizing, I guess. Philosophizing? I don't even know if that's a word. All right, so let me get out of that, and I think I'm going to take one of these trigger zones, and I want to just stamp it somewhere around here. Let's try around here, and let's see what happens here. Okay, so right now I've got a circular trigger zone, and that's fine, but I think a better choice would be a non-circular one. So I'm going to go into here. Oop. Apparently I don't remember how to open my window. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. I thought there was a way if I hold down L1 and I could just get to my... Oh, L1 and square. That's what it is. I was like, how do I get to the thing with the menu that I see on the side? I don't remember. That's what happens when I don't play in a while. Okay. So, I can change the things to detect, the scope of the detection, which is interesting. A bunch of other settings. And then I'm going to change, zone size is an option. I think that's what I want to change. And I want to change the shape to, I'm looking for a more cuboid type thing. Because I feel like this will be a better, better detection. Oops, I'm just going to stretch this out just a little. And I'm going to stretch this one out just a little. Alright, make sure that we've got enough room for when these things back up, that this will do the thing that I want. Go in this, oops, no, that's not what I wanted. Go into here, grab my trigger zone, and I'm going to just move it a little bit closer here. And we're pretty close to the ground. It's all wonky looking because I'm wonky looking. I'm just going to rotate that. Oop, nope, come on. And we're going to move it down. Okay, that's pretty close to what I'm looking for. I'm going to rotate it again, because of course I am. Alright, and that's pretty good. Okay. And I think I'm actually going to move it back again. No, you absolutely don't have, no one else has to be this picky. Alright, so I've got my trigger zone. And what I want to do is I want to detect when this thing bumps into it. So I'm going to go back to, ooh, I'm so bad at using the menu. So bad at navigating. Go back to my trigger zone here. Open up my thing. And what do I want to detect here? What are my options? Specify a tag name. What is this? Possessed controller sensors. Tag. Imp. Camera. Dreamverse element. All controller sensors. Self-controller. Scene element. Selected in. Okay. Dreamverse element. Selected in. Detect below. Okay. So I think most likely one of the things that I'm going to want is scene element or dreamverse element. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but let's choose dreamverse or scene element. Wire this to an object in your scene that you want your trigger zone to detect when the scene element button in things to detect is enabled. Okay. Let me read that again. Wire this to an object in your scene that you want your trigger zone to detect, right? And I think that's going to be my moving pillars. When the scene element button in things to detect is enabled. Okay, and so that's the button that I've enabled. Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to grab a little wire and oops. I'm going to navigate really poorly. And I want to attach it to this thing. Alright. And now I'm going to close it. Okay. So now I have a trigger element that is detecting the movement of these things. And so once it gets in this zone, what do I want to happen? Now I have a way of saying, okay, I know when I've touched a thing. I know when I've reached as far as I want to go. So what do I want to happen when this happens? I would like the movement to stop. That's one thing I would like to happen. So I'm going to go back to my trigger zone here. I'm going to open up my window. And we're going to go down to consider players detected. So this is the thing to detect. When it's detected, that's what I want, because when it's detected, that's when I want something to happen. So I'm going to take a wire from when it's detected, and I'm going to go up here to a gadget that I put on earlier, if I can ever navigate. I'm going to go to my movement controller. Oof. Me bad. Detect it. And I want to connect this to the power. My forward speed, mover, connected to the power. And so what I would like it to do is turn it off. So let's see if that's what I've said, because there is a wire coming in. Oops, nope, that's not what I want. Let's double check that. I'm going to go down to here. I'm going to open up my menu again. We've got a wire say when it's detected, we're going to hit the power on here. Already be, I believe that's a toggle, so the power should already be on. The thing is moving, so when it hits that, it should turn off. So let's give it a shot. Alright, hold on just a second. Alright, there we go. Okay. That is my timer to go change my, to move my clothes from the dryer to the washer. Let's see, what time is this? 3:40. Wow, time goes so fast when you're having fun. So this may be where we're going to take a little break. I know I've done a lot of talking and not a lot of building, but I feel like I've got something accomplished, at least, which is good. So I'm going to go to play mode here. And I'm going to possess my character. And what we're hoping for is that these pillars over here are going to move back until they hit the trigger zone, and then they're going to stop. So let's see if that happens. And we've already set it so that when we jump on this button, that we get our camera, and we switch to our camera view. So let's see. Oh, nope, doesn't work. Okay. Ah. Alright. That is okay. Oops. So it doesn't work. So now the question is, why? And this is always interesting. Okay, so we're going to go back to my edit mode. We had some thoughts, we tried to do a thing, but it doesn't work the way I hoped it would. And that is such a part of programming, I can't even tell you. Alright, so let's take a look at my trigger zone here. Select it. And we've got it, so it should detect my pieces here. And yeah, okay, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go move my clothes, and then we'll continue. And come back. Alright, gotta move the cat. I know. I know. You gotta move. Oh, hey, you're moving my controller, dude. Okay. Just take these things here. Okay, we're back. There we go. All right. So, where did we leave off? Well, I left off with the plan that I was going to work did not work. So let's see where I made my logical mistake. So I wired the detector. I'll go back down to my here. I wired the when it's detected, we want to send a signal to switch. That is what I did. What's this down here? Consider players. Don't need to. So when detected, let's just mouse over this again, or imp over it again, sends a signal when the object is detected. Okay. The signal I sent is to the power here. That may not be what I want. That's forward speed. Don't know what that is over here. it? What happened to my wire? Move wire. Let's go to, I'm going to close this here. Maybe what we need to do is edit it on this end. So I'm going to go here, open up my mover gadget, and okay, so I have something attached to power. I have two things attached to power, actually. I have a button. Let's go. And one from the trigger area. So let's open this again. And maybe I can get a... oops, that's not what I want at all. I want to move this window. How do I do that? Why can I not do that? I thought I could do that. Okay, so let's look at what we got here. Okay. Delete wire, deselect. Okay, what happens if I deselect it? Alright, so. So, now, nudge. Power can be input as signal inherited. So if we turn it off. Okay, so let's go back to... Let's look at my settings here. Damn. Specifics, properties. Take a look at properties, direction of movement. We've got affected objects. We've got power. What's, oops. Alright, so what did I do here? I've got one wire coming from the button that works. And let's try it one more time here. I'm going to get out of this, and I'm going to go to my play mode. I'm going to jump in, possess my character here. And I'm going to go and jump on my button and see what happens. Now what I expect to happen is that I was hoping the movement would stop, but that doesn't seem to be what's happening. So I'm going to jump on my button. Alright, sends signal, and moving. Alright, which is not what I want. Okay. I'm going to go back to, jump back to edit mode here. Oops, that's the play. Hit my rewind key. Now, if I had to guess what's going on here, the signal that I'm sending from here is not being interpreted correctly. It may also be interpreted as a power signal. So in other words, it's getting two switches for power. And one, as while I'm standing on that button, it's saying power on, and then when I'm on the trigger zone, it's also, when it hits the trigger zone, it's also powering on. So, my question, I suppose, is how do I make it so that it is power off as opposed to power on? So what oh, poopy poops. Okay, we're going to zoom in to here again, and take a look at my, oh, no, I don't want to wire from here. I want to look at my gadget here. And notice that we've got at least one thing coming into power, right? Or, sorry, we've got two things coming into power. Now, whoop, let's select this wire. We're going to connect it to power again. Now, is there a way for... Now, this powers on and off the whole gadget. Is there a way for my wire, for me to say, I want my wire to do... Let's see what we have here. Local space. We've got... What's this? Overall damping, movement strength, forward speed, pin to screen, save position, close. What's this? So this is this the input? And this the output? How can you tell which is which? So I have something going from that. I want to move this guy up. Okay. Change blend mode. Please change how wires going into a tweak affect the value of that tweak. Blend means the value will be overridden by the weighted average. Weighting is based on the power value from the gadgets. Okay. Overwrite. Blend. Overwrite. Overwrite means the value will be overwritten by the largest value carried by the wires going into it. Interesting. Okay. So, what I really want is... How do I turn it off? I have it off by default. This powers it on, and I'm stepping on the button. Now, let's take a look at what values I can send here. We're going to go to my trigger zone, and we're going to look at what we're sending right here. So detected sends a signal when the object to be detected varies in strength. So both of these are sending a signal, and that is the problem. It's off, it receives a signal, and it turns on. So what I really want is it, when it receives a signal from this thing, I would like it to turn off. So how do we specify that? All right, let's think about this. We've got it already on. Or sorry, it's off by default. I set block, and that turns it on. It keeps going on. It's on, it's on, it's on, it's on, until this thing sends a signal to the power. But the signal it's sending is not an off switch. It's just sending a signal, right? So it receives a signal, and it, let's say so. Maybe what I want to do is cut the signal from... So let's change a thing here. Let's do this. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to try something. So I'm going to break this wire if I can. Nope. Oh, no. That is not what I wanted. I want to undo this wire. Okay. I'm going to go here. Where's my wire here? Consider players. Oh. Alright, let's get out of here. Let's go to my... That's what I was trying to do. Oops. We're going to delete the wire. Okay. So now, what I think I want to do is I'm going to try something different this time. From this, I'm going to open my trigger zone again, And I'm going to say, let's try when detected. I'm going to take my wire from here. I'm going to wire it up to, I'm going to wire button. If I know where my button is, where's the button? Okay. And I'm going to wire it to, ooh. Now, oh, so bad at this. But I'm going to wire it to, oh. One is input wired, powered on, all controllers. I'm going to get closer here. So that's powered on, in and out. Is input wired? Okay. Now I'm going to go to, let's close out of here. Now I've got this that says temple button, and it's got a wire coming in from power, right? I think so. Let's learn a little bit about this particular gadget right here. Oops. I imp over it? Tell me something about it. That deselects it. Right, in and out of the node. Okay. And this node is called what? Powered on. Now there's no powered off, is there? And this is what? Detecting if the button is down. Alright. Let's see what we got here. Physical properties, labels and ownership, collision labels, audio. Right now it's visible is on, movable, we don't want power. Let's see, some simply turn on or off. Right now we have a wire into this thing, I believe. So, oops, nope, that turns off the whole gadget. That's not what I want. Movable, visible. Okay. Well, let's power on. Send a power off signal. I know how to send an on signal. How do you say power off? Well, what? I'm actually going to delete this wire really quickly. I hope I deleted the right wire. What is this? That's the element to interact. Okay. We're going to go to this again, and we're going to do one more. We're going to try this. So I'm going to assume that it's sending some sort of positive signal, a 1 or something like that. I would like to capture that and send the opposite signal. So let's see if I can hop into my gadgets menu here. And I'm going to go to my gadgets. We're going to see what I have under processing. Okay. counter. We've used a counter and or XOR not gate selector. What does this do? Input cycle forward or backwards. Okay, that's not exactly what I want. Exclusive gate. Ooh, fancy signal manipulator. I don't think. Right, that's not quite what I want. I think I'm going to try the not gate here. So here's my could be wrong, and this, my friends, is the fun part of programming: is what you think you know, and then using that, you know, to see if you, you know, see if things work. My hypothesis, I'm going to stamp this really quick, is that what I was doing is when it was detecting, it was sending a positive signal to the movement controller, and I wanted to send a negative signal. So I'm actually going to try something here. Not input, not output. So I'm going to connect, I'm going to go here, select my trigger zone, and detected. We're just going to wire up detected to my not input. Hopefully it's the signal. And we're going to take this negative signal, and we're going to send it to the power section. Not power speed, but to power. This may be, I could be totally wrong. I'm not even sure if it did. It did. Okay. So what I'm hoping to send is, instead of I'm assuming I'm sending a on signal, I'm going to invert that using the not gate, not on, or perhaps if there's a 1, I'm sending a 0, and hoping that now, when it sees this, it will send a 0 and stop it. Okay, so let's see what happens. Let's just try it. Now, it is possible, obviously, that it could be wrong, and that the not signal will not override. I could be wrong about the signal and how it works. I could also be wrong about the fact that it will override on the button. So that is another thing we will check out. Alright, let's see what happens. I know, it's frustrating to be wrong, but hey, it happens. Okay, so I'm going to jump on this. Boom. Oh, fell off of it. Move, 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 move. Keeps moving. Alright, so we were wrong. Alright, jump back to our edit mode, hit rewind, put my character back where we were. Okay. So let's try a new plan. What I really want is, regardless of the fact that I'm stepping on that button, I would like the button to be turned off. So let's try. Boop. No, 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 that's not what I want. We're going to delete that wire. We're going to take our not input. And we're going to wire this. Whee! Magic wires. Magic wires. We're going to wire this to nothing, apparently. There we go. We're going to wire this to my powered on. Now, oh, it changed color. That's a good sign. That may mean something. So hopefully what that will do is power it off. Okay, so let's give it a shot. Go to play mode. And what I'm hoping, again, is that my negative signal, once the thing gets detected, will send a negative signal to the button and turn the button off, thus stopping the movement. So let's see. Jump on the button. Let's rewind. Not sure if it did anything. Alright, let's see where my gates are. Can't tell if they've moved or not. Okay, so right now, it looks like they have not moved. So we're going to walk over to here. We're going to walk over. Our pillars have not really moved, so we're going to try it again. Alright. Alright. And the button is off, which is a good sign. So the button's staying off, which to me means that we are probably successful here. That the thing is still being detected, and thus the off signal is still being sent, which means that the pillars have moved. Ah, excellent. This is what we wanted. Alright, so we have learned something, and we have a successfully working project so far. So I'm going to save. It didn't work exactly the way I thought it was going to initially, but again, this is all part of programming, and some of you might actually look at this and be like, what? That is not, that I would have done it totally differently, and that's awesome. I hope that you look at this and go, I have a better way, or even just a different way, because my way is not the only way. It is not the highway. And yeah, new ways are always interesting, and so we know that this at least moves back enough to be able to touch this. And again, let's walk through this logic. Oops, I'm again bad at navigating. So we've got a trigger zone that says send a signal, and it seems like it sends a positive signal by default. So it is sent through a NOT gate, which is just something that says, instead of 1, or instead of positive, I want not positive, or negative. I want the opposite, not the thing that is coming out of here. So if this is sending a 1, in computers we deal with binary, 1s and 0s. So if this is sending a 1, this is going to flip it to a 0, and vice versa. If it's sending a 0, this is going to flip it to a 1. In this case, I'm thinking that 1 is acting as positive, we'll call it that, or on, and that by default, when I was sending a signal from here, it was sending a signal that was also a 1. So this movement was getting 2 1s. Either the button was making it, or the trigger was making it a 1. And maybe they're additive, I don't know. But now I have it, when you hit the trigger, we're going to, instead of sending a 1, we're going to take that 1, we're going to run it through the NOT gate and say 0, and we're going to send that 0 to that other switch over here, the powered on switch, which is something super useful. And I don't know if it only comes with buttons or if it's like a thing that they made. But notice one of the things that I thought was very cool, little design touches like this are super useful for communicating feedback. That when I connected the input immediately from that NOT gate, this thing turned color. It turned black. It turned off. So that is huge shout out to the designers of Dreams for that immediate visual feedback of, hey, look, this connection is going to do something different. So immediately I had a positive, ironically, I had a good feeling, let's say. I don't want to confuse things. I had a good feeling that what I was doing was going out. Okay, so one thing I feel is that by the time this moves, we get a quick jump to the camera, and then we get a quick jump back, and it does like a glitch. So I have a couple of options. I could either slow down the movement, or I can make it move farther. So let's see if I can tweak the movement here a little bit. Movement speed. There's my forward speed. So I'm just going to take, oops. No, go back. Adjust value. Oh, I don't want. I actually want to just drag it. I don't remember how to drag it though. clicking and holding. Important. Okay. Let's try something a little bit more precise. Let's try 3.5. Let's do 2. 2. Okay. I'm going to do 2 meters per second. And we're going to jump back to play mode. And we're going to immediately just go down to our button. And we're going to jump on our button. Oops, I didn't actually. There we go. Okay. Now the button's off. That is fantastic. Another cool visual thing that I really appreciate. This button stays down. So this button, of course, was built by the Meaty Molecule folks. And super happy that this is a pressed and depressed state. So, like, clearly it is a button that can no longer be activated. It is an inactive button. It has done its thing. And I like that it... Oops, and I'm dead. I like that it went slowly. That worked out well. So we can just walk back over here. And we get to our spot. We see that it is now open. And we can proceed forward. Okay, so that's cool. Let's borrow something from Zelda, and it would be cool if it made a little music or something like that. But maybe we'll leave that for a next session. I'm actually going to take a little break, get some... maybe I'll come back. I say that a lot, but I usually, once I stop, I stop. The kids are probably going to be home, some dinner, some leftovers, yeah, maybe we'll come back and do it, but I usually don't get a chance to. But yeah, I feel like we've made some progress today, so I'm very happy with that. And I know I'm spending a lot of time just messing around with this ancient temple level when I could just throw something out. But I wanted to, kind of, not test myself, but stretch myself, do some things. And this is a fun way to kind of just learn about how Dreams works by doing. So here we are. All right. Well, thank you for hanging out with me. I think 2 people happened to stop by, and I'm ever so thankful for those 2 people. If you see this on YouTube, hopefully, you'll get past all the talking and maybe see something exciting. And not exciting. I'm not exciting when I do this, but maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you were positively influenced by watching somebody that's fallible. And it will make you say, hey, I can do this too. Hey, I leveled up. Cool. My aura changed color. Oh, somebody shared something with me. Final hour, the pre-alpha build, cool. Got some nice note, some thumbs up for a comment that I made. I need to do more exploring, actually. And yeah, okay, so we'll come back and do some more exploring. But I think get out of here for a second, and I think that's about all we're gonna do. So you guys have a good night, and talk to you later.